Hello and welcome to the 101st episode of Rambling Weekly. Woo! Exciting. How you doing? I'm doing pretty good. Honestly, it's been a pretty good week. A little extra in the work front, but I mean, nothing new with that. I have tried ever so hard to not make that a thing, but that's just what the work calls for, I guess. So, yeah, that's been fine. Been a bit cluttered with things. I have finally gotten back into genealogy, the Holy War, so that is I just started on the epilogue, the final chapter, so depending on how long that takes me to get through, I'm happy for it. So it's nice. It's one of those things that whenever I start to play it, it's the warm fuzzy feeling. It's like this is a comfy game for me. So so I got a little bit more into that I have to do. I don't know if I'm gonna play any of that today or not. Haven't decided. I've been keeping on tabs with my writing, so I am on pace. We'll say for I think I might have mentioned it before, but the aim I know I mentioned the aim to have 200 pages by the end of the year, and that I don't know if I remember. I don't quite remember if I had said something to where I was like, hey, to reach that, it's like 3 pages a day. So I've been able to keep on that average, which has been nice. It's been nice to get into it. I know what I'm doing with it, so that certainly helps makes it easier. But I am chucking it along, even though that's not really the way to phrase that. I don't know what's wrong with me. My brain's being messy. But I've got, I'm keeping up with that, so that's good. I'm happy about that. What else has been going on? Anything of note? Nothing else terribly much. Picked up on the game front, keeping up with my writing. That's probably about all I got at the moment. But it's good because I had been faltering and keeping up with that, so it's nice. I think I might have mentioned it before, but if not, I did try to reach out to a piano teacher to possibly do some piano lessons and stuff, but I haven't heard back, so I may have to either try calling the number for them or something of that sort and seeing, because I would be very interested in doing that, because it would be probably beneficial to have something like that so that I can translate that to making more of the bleeps and the bloops, as one does. Because I do have a couple things, and something I've noticed, and I've heard this, that for other people it works for them as well, is that it greases the wheels. So just even a tiny bit of working on music tends to grease the wheels to help me with writing. I don't know why. It's a nice little 1-2 punch. But yeah, so that's nice. Oh, I guess if we're going to mention it, there was that ridiculous, I don't even want to call it a boxing match, but a boxing exhibition between I don't even know who the heck the one dude is. Something Logan. This isn't how you know you're old. One of the Logan brothers and Mike Tyson, which is ridiculous because there's a 30-year gap between them. Yeah, didn't watch it, didn't care for it. I just caught through the periphery the tertiary view that people what they were saying about it and everything, and I came away with 2 words to describe it: booty cheeks. That's that's what, not good. Not good. It's it's kind of, I don't want to say necessarily an embarrassment, but I think embarrassment would probably lead to it, and less so for Tyson, more so for Paul, because you can't, I don't know, you when you're in that position, you can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna take you down, I'm gonna rock you, I'm gonna knock you out. I mean, you do that, it's like, okay, yeah, I kind of expected. And I know most people will probably hate watching it, or having this fever dream thinking that Tyson was gonna completely rock the dude. It's like, there's a reason why the old man archetype in movies and stories, they stick to just using a gun. Because that's a quick way to be done with it. But yeah, there's that kind of nonsense going on this week. I don't know if there's really much else. I don't really have too much else. I live a very simple life. Because I'm a simple person. But I did get one thing that it actually made me want to talk about just a little bit, as the ramblings do. And we kind of talked about this eons ago, and I felt it appropriate to bring it up back as a topic, because looking through, and maybe I missed it or something, but it looks like I kind of talked a little bit about this back in the second episode of Rambling Weekly, but maybe a little bit different in concept, what we're going for here. But so some darn near 9 years ago, it's 8, a little over 8.5 years ago, talked about profiting off of nostalgia, and well, this is what's in a remake. I have not gotten very far into it, but I did pick up the Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake, because God forbid we have simple names in our remakes. We cannot have simple naming conventions in our remakes. No. I haven't played terribly much of it. I've only put in about 10 to 20 minutes, I would say, because that's all you need, right? Well, I say that because, you know, I've played through it. It's been what I played through it as I did a Taylor Talks, a game review on that one. I don't remember exactly when, but we can find out. But it was for the Game Boy Color version some time ago. And why does it just not want to be cooperative? There we go. Okay, gracious. Let's see. It was it was a while ago. Okay, it was about 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago. Did a talk on, it, and I think I split them all apart. But yeah, because the Game Boy Color one has they have 1 and 2 together, and then 3, and then the same thing is happening with these HD 2D remakes. They're releasing 3 first because it is the one that takes place first of the trilogy, and then they have the other 2, and yeah. So that's the, I think excuse me, I think that's why they're doing that first. Pause real quick, clear my throat. Okay, I'm back. But I think so that's why, because there was mentionings that, hey, if when you beat it, play them through chronologically, something neat happens. Nothing major, but something neat. At least that's what I've heard rumblings on. But yeah, I got that. It does look nice. From what little bit I've played and what I've seen out and about, can't go wrong with that. I like the cover. The cover kind of looks like the guy who's done the art stuff for oh, what am I thinking? Octopath and oh shoot, what is that? Triangle Strategy. Looks like the same artist, and I do like their art style. You have all these remakes, and everybody's always throwing a fit about these remakes, and it's understandable. There's something to them that, if not even a remake, I think going on right now for just a couple weeks. They brought back, what was it, Overwatch Classic, so it's like the first one, and I know people have been enjoying that. Because they don't like how it has evolved over time. And you got that, you've got just a slew of different remakes, rehashes. Sometimes they even go the route of what they do with Final Fantasy VII. And I know I don't openly express it terribly often, terribly frequently, but I'm not a fan of 7. It is not... I don't think it's interesting. I don't like the game. Even when I played it way back in the day, it wasn't a game that interested me in playing games at a time when I really didn't play games very much. So it did not do that. 9 actually did that for me more than anything, and 8 to a lesser degree, much lesser degree, but 8 at least a little bit. 7 never did that. Never really liked it. But they take that remake and then they explode it into multiple games and twisting and tweaking the story a little bit here and there for reasons. I mean, I get it. I get it because of the size of it that they try to, but I also kind of wonder if it isn't partially due to what feels like an inability or an unwillingness to try to lighten the load with the size of games and stuff. It feels like it's gotten way out of hand, way out of control to just be like, just throw assets into it. Mind you, I am not programming literate, so maybe I'm just speaking out of house, but I don't know. It feels like the efficiency for programming is a little poor, or maybe it's just due to the maybe not maybe it is just the assets. The assets are that take that much data or what have you, but there is something to remakes that is nice to a degree, but you get to a point where it starts to lose itself. And I'm going to bring up the original Final Fantasy, because there's a bunch of those, just like a lot of things. I'll bring up 2 examples, I guess. The original Final Fantasy and we'll say East 1 and 2 in particular, and we can diverge from there. The original Final Fantasy had a few different ones. It had one on the Color Swan that I never really played. From what I remember, I think it did. I could have swore there was one on the Color Swan. I have to look this up. I never played it. Never owned a Color Swan. But I think FF4 was on it. Oh yeah, yep, there was. That's really pretty packaging for it. And it came out in 2000. That's pretty cool. Okay. But they canceled 3 for whatever reason, but they brought out 4. God, 3 is such an unloved game. Oh, but, I mean, the Final Fantasy series as a whole, right? They get these remakes, so they have a initially, um, and I'll say this for the FF one because that's, I think, the easiest one to bring up as points of interest. You can, initially, have the Colors one, but then they had the PS1 remake that softened things. It made it prettier and everything, but it kept it pretty close to the same. I don't remember if they fixed the issues of the spells not working. They might have, might not have. Certain spells just didn't have any effect, which is always pleasant because I always thought they did growing up. So I had to convince myself it was worth it. But but after that, you had the Game Boy Advanced one, and then you had the PSP one, and those in particular, really, I don't really like those because when they remade it at those points, it took away from what the game originally was. It changed it. It made it a lot easier, and certainly, yeah, they added in some extra stuff, and the extra stuff was neat, I guess, but it's not the same. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, all right, I sure. like even the remake for FF2, I think they just added in the extra little bit, like there's just like an extra little bit at the end that had nothing to do. It turned into its own little thing, which was in line with it, but it's still like, it's a little different from what I remember. I don't remember that being in the original one. Aforementioned FF3 had its it had the a glow up into the 3D-ish sort of thing with the, was it on the DS, I think? Same thing with FF4. FF4 has had a bunch of those as well. And then you get like remakes with like Chrono Trigger that because of the slowdown time of loading from the disc actually hampers it. And it's like, oh, you got these neat little cutscenes in there and stuff, but you're slowing it down. You're diluting the product. Or look at the one on the that's the one that people said was absolutely gaudy and hideous, and understandably so, with the UI. That's another thing, like the UI translation from older games to newer ones. It's just like the meme of soul no soul kind of thing. It is a bit jarring. And then Nihon Falcom's done this as well with Ys, and from a business practice, it's understandable because it's a way for them to kind of, build, like, reinforce an audience that may have missed it the first time around and has built since. I think it starts to wane a bit as time has gone on, and it's a lot easier to get access to these things. Like, what is it? Do we need an like Ys 1 and 2 Chronicles Plus? Do we need anything else beyond that? Now that that's available and stuff, they've kind of hit a point where it's like, unless they do a complete new like look or something, but then if they do that, they got to change the system. And I bring up this because it's up to that Chronicles Plus Magic Adventure. They had kept the absolutely crazy bump system, which is still god awful. I hate that. It's such an. I get why, but it's such a evil system. Like, I don't like it, but I get why they kept it. But it kept the game system the same. So really, the only thing that changed was how it sounded, how it looked, but it played the same. So it was all these years it's kept the same. And then you get to 3. And 3, they're like, oh, well, we did that whole side thing, but we're gonna, like, do this change. And did, The Oath in Felghana. You've seen this with 4. 4 has, like, 1,000 different types of game, with Mask of the Sun, Dawn of Ys, and then, what's the Celceta? The Foliage in Celceta or something. I don't remember what the heck the English translation of the subtitle is. But you have those 5. 5. What they did was they released it. People complained that it was too easy, and then they released a more harder version of it. And that was because 5 is really easy, but they've kind of not come back to it. And I wonder if they will soon or something. Even the Oath in Felghana, they re-released with like they updated the look of it and stuff. I have not touched it, but I know some people have. I mean, but then you get things like Wild Guns. Wild Guns Reloaded. They kind of add in a couple characters that make it pretty and stuff, and it's still pretty obnoxious, but in a good way. I like that game. But, or Resident Evil, like, there's, in one hand, what I'm getting at with all this is, I don't necessarily dislike the remakes. I think, from a business point, it makes sense. It's like, hey, we've gone all this time, and now we're reaching a point to where, like, if we haven't for a long time, I had to bring it back, even like, crazy examples like Getsufuma Den. You can unearth something that you hadn't played or that hasn't been available for a long time, and be like, hey, here you go, this is now available. They didn't really change anything with it. They're just kind of like, yeah, you can now play it on the computer. Excuse me. But I get it from a business. So, like, yeah, it gives people who may be fans an opportunity to come back to it. Final Fantasy 1's a little bit tougher sell because they've done that a lot. Ys is kind of in the same boat. Now with the Pixel remaster. Even though it's still a little wonky looking, they've consolidated it all into one shiny package. And really, that should be it for it. Like, you shouldn't, unless you try to do the Psycho route of turning everything into, I guess, 3D. That would be the only other thing to do with that. But then it's like, how much are you getting really out of that at that point? It's the fervor of the fans. Would I buy Final Fantasy 1 HD 2D remake? Yes, because I love Final Fantasy 1. It's my favorite. Have I bought Final Fantasy 8 remaster? No, and it's not that I hate 8 or anything like that. I actually might, truthfully, because I've not played that in a very long time. It's been 15 years, and I get an inkling to play it every now and again since I've turned around into liking it. But that's another. I mean, basically, it's a very love-hate relationship. Loved the demo that came on that demo disc with like Metal Gear Solid and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and stuff like that. It had the satellite mission where you're storming the beach. It had that, and that was fun. That was great. That was really enjoyable. It played very differently than what the game that we got, and I hated it when I first played it, and then revisited it about 10 years later, and I was like, I actually really like this. Whatever. But and with that game more than anything, not that I agree with them or anything, just because I don't fully know them, but I find those the fan theories for things like Squall's actually dead, or Renoa's Ultimecia and stuff. I think those are a little bit more interesting fan theories you can get out of it than a lot of other things. But I don't know where I was going with any of that. So yeah, back up. To yeah, they've gotten to a point where, I mean, we've seen it to some degree where it was like The Last of Us remastered, and it's like it just came out from the PS3 to the PS4. Like that seems a little, I don't know about that. And that's not necessarily a remake per se, that's more of a remaster. And then, yeah, you get into those sorts of, like, what would you define as a remake? What would you define as a remaster? Kind of, like, do you include remasters into remakes and stuff? Think of something like, Morrowind. I think Todd Howard has been very open about not making a remaster of that, or a remake of that. Doom 1 and 2, like that's they've got sort of remakes, I guess you could say, with the Super Nintendo version and the Jaguar version and such. I would almost argue that like Blaster Master Zero is a remake of the first Blaster Master, just because of sure there's tiny little differences here, but it's pretty much the first game, just a little different, but not that different. Yeah, or Katamari Damacy had was a remake in a way, a re-roll, or remastered remix, or Langrisser 1 and 2. There's I think there comes a point where it's smart to, if they can, bring it up to speed, like Okami or the Ninja Gaiden games, that came out in like the 360 and stuff like that. It's a smart move to make, or like remaking the old Resident Evil games. Some people may not like that they took the tank controls away and stuff for 2. I doubt that, though, because I think 2 was actually really, really good. I think everybody really liked 2. But you see how 4 was treated. 4, they made that remake, and people are like, it's pretty good, but it's not done enough different to really, or done too much differently to where it made it play a bit differently. Like it's a very narrow path to walk. And I don't fault companies for trying, necessarily. Like I said, they're trying. They know they have something, and they know they have fans for it. And if they aren't like abusing it to where it's like, hey, here's this, could you say that they're abusing it with Dragon Quest by not just throwing all 3 of them on the same thing when they just released it's not that like they just released it, but I mean they did release that 3-pack. I think there was the 3-pack on the Wii, and then they did one for the Switch, I think. Did they do? I know they did one for the Wii to celebrate. Like. Oh yeah, they did. When did this even come out? 5 years ago. And it looks like it's the whatchamacallit, like the phone version and stuff like that, which not really my cup of tea. It's not the worst, and I think the games, particularly the first one. The second one's super mean. But it's, it gives a chance if kids really like it. I grew up cutting my teeth on the original Dragon Quest games, or the Dragon Warrior games. I think kids could do it too. They can do it. Or think of like the later one, like 7 and 8 both had that switch from the PS1, PS2 respectively to the 3DS. I know the 3DS version of 8 is a little harumph, but and I don't think they've released that online, like for like Steam or something, which is kind of surprising if they haven't. It doesn't look like it, which to me is a little wild. You would think that they would, that would be one to do, but maybe in time. But it did wonders for it did wonders for 7. I feel like, I know some people don't like that version so much, and I understand, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was nice. It was nice to have it be portable and just like do. I don't know why I said it like that, but it's not time out. I guess the confluence of things of like, how long has it been? What are you really doing? With these, I kind of wonder if this isn't Nintendo's. How about not Nintendo, Square Enix? It's more so if this isn't Square Enix's efforts to kind of probe the waters for doing the same thing for the original Final Fantasy games at some point, depending on how much resources go into it and everything. Because it seems like they're like bigger productions have not worked out as well as they had hoped. 16, there were some people who really enjoyed it. A lot of people just seemed kind of towards it. And the remakes have been up and down. I feel like the first one really took off well. And then the second one has been, I don't know, the second one's been a little weird. Like they've not really gave numbers for it, and when they don't give numbers for something, it's like, well, same thing with 16, right? They came out and said, oh well, it failed to meet expectations, and then 2 weeks later something did a turnabout phase. Oh no, it was totally fine. And I kind of wonder if this isn't their way of trying to buoy and bring in some money so that they can start working on whatever the heck that next they're going to be working on. You saw this with Star Ocean 2 second story. They did that, and from what I've heard they did really great things with sprucing it up. I'm not certain if they kept the bugs in. I hope they didn't, because some of those bugs were god awful. Especially at the end of the game. There'd be ones where it'd be like, hey, surprise, it's now that I think about it, I think the PSP version didn't have them, so, and that's the one I really played. Like I played through fully the PSP version, which is unfortunate because it has the hideous the not so good art style. I shouldn't say hideous, but I don't like it. The originals and the more recent remakes are really good, but they had those, and then I don't know, the whole thing I think is a smart move to reinvigorate fans of those older games, or just the style of games, because there's a big well to draw from, right? And doing this can make even those, I don't know how we call this, like, I don't want to say retro, they need to just be called ancient, those ancient games of yore, but to bring them back up into the fold to quote unquote modernize them to some degree, because then you get rid of the UI juxtaposition to the old style and how jarring that is. Will it pan out? We'll see. Like, Dragon Quest is certainly always a easy one to kind of bring in. Star Ocean seemed to do well. I mean, there's a whole slew. Maybe I know Takahashi seems to be trying to you know, that Monolith crew is slam dunking with Xenoblade and stuff, and X is even getting a re-release on the Switch, which I never even played. I don't even know why I said even, like as if I've played every game, but I've only played the first one of Xenoblade Chronicles. I haven't even played 2 and 3 because 2 didn't look interesting and 3 looked interesting, but I am, if anything, bad at playing games. but I did see that they're actually really, which is smart because I think that came out on the Wii U, and I think it was stuck there, and Nintendo really should make an effort to get that, especially if the rumors are true about the Switch. The successor to the Switch is going to be backwards compatible, which it should be. I don't see how it would be difficult for the processing power of a machine, just using things like that, would be negatively affected or hampered by it. But maybe there's something on the programming side of things I don't quite understand that might make it too difficult. I don't know. Like there is a place for the remakes, because like I said, it gives people a chance to, because otherwise like Panzer Dragoon Saga or something, didn't they re-release, they finally got a thing of that? Let's see here, Panzer Dragoon Saga, or no they didn't. What was it that I'm thinking of? I thought there was something that maybe it's just Panzer Dragoon. However, that is a good point. Like things like Panzer Dragoon Saga, if there was a way, maybe, you know what I think it is that they found a way to emulate the Saturn. and that's what I'm thinking of, so it made it actually feasible for people to play it. But that's the, like, I don't really care for the game. I didn't think it was that good. I know a lot of people are just absolutely love it, and they're like, I don't think it's a bad game. It's just not my kind of game, to a degree. Like there's parts of it that I like, but especially towards the end, I'm like, okay, I get it. It's this time period, but like it goes for $1,000, if not more. Not always, but I mean, like that's obscene. That's obscene for a game. That's like a book or something being kept locked away, and only people who have ridiculous amounts of money, or not even just money per se, like the ability, like for getting emulators and stuff like that, to be able to play it. I don't think that's fair. I think that does a disservice to the creators, as well as anybody who may possibly enjoy it. And not only that, the seeds of that creativity aren't getting planted and, you know, grown and have their own fruits to blossom and spread and whatnot. I think it's unfortunate, and that's, you know, and that's and that's why I guess I don't have a problem with the remakes. It's when they kind of skew way too far from the original intent in the sense of like how it played, and then also if you're changing around the story, because I would be kind of curious to see how they would tackle, like, give me Xenosaga. Where are my Xenosaga remakes? Those, I love those games. Those games are great. And what's going on? Xenosaga Episode 3 is like $300 on the PS2. I ain't doing that. No, just no. That's ridiculous. Just no. That's ridiculous. It's stupid. You got that, and then you got what was that? Like Xenogears. Like, give Takahashi the ability to touch back up on Takahashi and his wife to touch back up on Xenogears, and then actually make that second disc come to life, kind of thing. I know I don't know if I've mentioned it here in this one or whatnot, but I know I've totally done the whole inhale the copium of hey, disc 2 is how it is because you're fated, you're now on the rails, chugga chugga choo choo. This is going to the end. Like, that's just me trying to put makeup on a pig and going, oh, isn't this pig really, really great? Look how beautiful. But it's not quite how that works. And I could be angry that they took all that money and put it with FF8, or that they were maybe being a little too big for their britches. But yeah, I think that's having these sorts of things after so long, and now having this process of this HD 2D thing. That's the way to go. That's the way to bring these back, bring them to life, especially after so long. And who knows? Maybe they might do something like that for, something like Rudra no Hiho, Treasure of the Rudras, or Treasures of the Rudra, whichever. I think Treasures of the Rudras. Treasures of the Rudra. Anyways, something like that, or maybe Genealogy Only, or do something shiny for that. I mean, the remake of Gaiden was absolutely phenomenal. Like, even if I don't care how it tied into stuff that was introduced in Awakening, it was a phenomenal game. It was fantastic. Loved it. It was wonderful. It's I'm fine with that. That doesn't take away. I think what if anything, having these things, and I feel like sometimes the approach is, or when seeing that it takes away the opportunities for other things to intercede, and I get that to some degree, but I think this is also the, I don't know if I'd say struggle, or if it's similar to the competition, as it were, of like classic music in the sense of like 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s and whatnot. Modern day stuff having to get over that hump. This is kind of the peculiar thing when it comes to recording and the ability for us to have all of this stuff recorded, is that now we can be like, oh, like, there's some really good stuff here. Oh, look at Rocky 1, Godfather, Parts 1, Part 2. I know some people prefer Part 1 over Part 2. Part 2 more than Part 1. Part 3 doesn't exist either way. But, you can go back to these, like, old films, or songs, or books, or what have you, and see how that is, and be like, wow, that is a level of which is hard to match. That's just fantastic. It is towering above other things. But I think it also allows for people to see that and then try to surpass that in some ways. I don't think it takes away. It just means that you've got to, fight through it. Because beforehand you just have the oral tellings of it, and then you'd have things written down to a degree, but it wouldn't be necessarily like everybody would have it, nor the easy access to it. But it's almost like in a way, standing on the shoulders of giants, but not quite. It's almost like you're having to hurdle over the shoulders of giants. And I think it's a challenge. A challenge to do better or provide something interesting, but it doesn't take away. And I don't necessarily think that it makes it more cacophonous. I don't think it makes it this noise necessarily. And I think more of anything, it just turns into just a more fuller, textured chorus of voices and such. So yeah, so that's what I got. That's my feelings on the remakes. Maybe I've turned a little bit from my profiting off of nostalgia, but I think there's you have a little bit of maybe a change of heart or a different kind of eye for those things as time has gone on. I was going to be cheeky and say, I'm just going to revisit episodes from early on Rambling Weekly. I'm not doing that. It was something, especially with Dragon Quest 3, that I was like, hey, you know what? I feel the need, the urge to herbal, and do that. But yeah, so that is what I've got. Thank you for watching, listening, what have you. Enjoy your day, weekday, weekend, weeknight, and everything in between. And yeah, I'll definitely catch you next week. So with another episode. As for the outro, I think because I'm in the mood for it, it's going to be from Genealogy of the Holy War. It's going to be the versus. Let's do versus Alvis. Just because, yeah, we'll just do that. Versus Alvis will be the outro for this one. So thanks for listening. Have a good one. Toodles.